The Discourses of Epictetus. Translated by George Long. Book 4. Chapter 9. To a person who had been changed to a character of shamelessness. When you see another man in the possession of power, magistracy, set against this the fact that you have not the want, desire, of power. When you see another rich, see what you possess in place of riches, for if you possess nothing in place of them you are miserable. But if you have not the want of riches, know that you possess more than this man possesses, and what is worth much more. Another man possesses a handsome woman. Wife, you have the satisfaction of not desiring a handsome wife. Do these things appear to you to be small? And how much would these persons give, these very men who are rich, and in possession of power, and live with handsome women, to be able to despise riches, and power, and these very women whom they love and enjoy? Do you not know then what is the thirst of a man who has a fever? He possesses that which is in no degree like the thirst of a man who is in health, for the man who is in health ceases to be thirsty after he is drunk, but the sick man being pleased for a short time has a nausea, he converts the drink into bile, vomits, is griped, and more thirsty. It is such a thing to have desire of riches, and to possess riches, desire of power, and to possess power, desire of a beautiful woman, and to sleep with her. To this is added jealousy, fear of being deprived of the thing which you love, indecent words, indecent thoughts, unseemly acts. And what do I lose? You will say. My man, you were modest, and you are so no longer. Have you lost nothing? In place of Chrysippus and Zeno you read Aristides and Evenus. Have you lost nothing? In place of Socrates and Diogenes, you admire him who is able to corrupt and seduce most women. You wish to appear handsome and try to make yourself so, though you are not. You like to display splendid clothes that you may attract women, and if you find any fine oil for the hair, you imagine that you are happy. But formerly you did not think of any such thing, but only where there should be decent talk, a worthy man, and a generous conception. Therefore you slept like a man, walked forth like a man, wore a manly dress, and used to talk in a way becoming a good man. Then do you say to me, I have lost nothing? So do men lose nothing more than coin? Is not modesty lost? Is not decent behavior lost? Is it that he who has lost these things has sustained no loss? Perhaps you think that not one of these things is a loss. But there was a time when you reckoned this the only loss and damage, and you were anxious that no man should disturb you from these good words and actions. Observe, you are disturbed from these good words and actions by nobody but by yourself. Fight with yourself, restore yourself to decency, to modesty, to liberty. If any man ever told you this about me, that a person forces me to be an adulterer, to wear such a dress as yours, to perfume myself with oils, would you not have gone and with your own hand have killed the man who thus calumniated me? Now will you not help yourself? And how much easier is this help? There is no need to kill any man, nor to put him in chains, nor to treat him with contumely, nor to enter the forum, go to the courts of law, but it is only necessary for you to speak to yourself who will be most easily persuaded, with whom no man has more power of persuasion than yourself. First of all, condemn what you are doing, and then when you have condemned it, do not despair of yourself, and be not in the condition of those men of mean spirit, who, when they have once given in, surrender themselves completely and are carried away as if by a torrent. But see what the trainers of boys do. Has the boy fallen? Rise, they say, wrestle again till you are made strong. Do you also do something of the same kind, for be well assured that nothing is more tractable than the human soul. You must exercise the will, and the thing is done, it is set right, as on the other hand, only fall a nodding, be careless, and the thing is lost, for from within comes ruin and from within comes help. Then, you say, what good do I gain? And what greater good do you seek than this? From a shameless man you will become a modest man, from a disorderly you will become an orderly man, from a faithless you will become a faithful man, from a man of unbridled habits a sober man. If you seek anything more than this, go on doing what you are doing, not even a God can now help you. Book 4. Chapter 10. What things we ought to despise, and what things we ought to value. The difficulties of all men are about external things, their helplessness is about externals. What shall I do? How will it be? How will it turn out? Will this happen? Will that? All these are the words of those who are turning themselves to things which are not within the power of the will. For who says, how shall I not assent to that which is false? How shall I not turn away from the truth? If a man be of such a good disposition as to be anxious about these things, I will remind him of this. Why are you anxious? The thing is in your own power, be assured, do not be precipitate in assenting before you apply the natural rule. On the other side, if a man is anxious, uneasy, about desire, lest it fail in its purpose and miss its end, and with respect to the avoidance of things, lest he should fall into that which he would avoid, I will first love him, because he throws away the things about which others are in a flutter. Others' desire, and their fears, and employs his thoughts about his own affairs and his own condition. Then I shall say to him, if you do not choose to desire that which you will fail to obtain, nor to attempt to avoid that into which you will fall. Desire nothing which belongs to, which is in the power of, others, nor try to avoid any of the things which are not in your power. If you do not observe this rule, you must of necessity fail in your desires, and fall into that which you would avoid. What is the difficulty here? Where is there room for the words, how will it be, and how will it turn out, and will this happen or that? Now, is not that which will happen independent of the will? Yes. And the nature of good and of evil, is it not in the things which are within the power of the will? Yes. Is it in your power then to treat according to nature everything which happens? Can any person hinder you? No man. No longer then say to me, how will it be? For however it may be, you will dispose of it well, and the result to you will be a fortunate one. What would Hercules have been if he said, how shall a great lion not appear to me, or a great boar, or savage men? And what do you care for that? If a great boar appear, you will fight a greater fight, if bad men appear, you will relieve the earth of the bad. Suppose then that I lose my life in this way. You will die a good man, doing a noble act. For since we must certainly die, of necessity a man must be found doing something, either following the employment of a husbandman, or digging, or trading, or serving in a consulship, or suffering from indigestion or from diarrhea. What then do you wish to be doing when you are found by death? I for my part would wish to be found doing something which belongs to a man, beneficent, suitable to the general interest, noble. But if I cannot be found doing things so great, I would be found doing at least that which I cannot be hindered from doing. That which is permitted me to do, correcting myself, cultivating the faculty which makes use of appearances, laboring at freedom from the effects, laboring at tranquility of mind, rendering to the relations of life their due, if I succeed so far. Also, I would be found, touching on, advancing to, the third topic, or head safety in the forming judgments about things. If death surprises me when I am busy about these things, it is enough for me if I can stretch out my hands to God and say, the means which I have received from thee for seeing thy administration of the world, and following it, I have not neglected, I have not dishonored thee by my acts. See how I have used my perceptions, see how I have used my preconceptions. Have I ever blamed thee? Have I been discontented with anything that happens, or wished it to be otherwise? Have I wished to transgress the established relations of things? That thou hast given me life, I thank thee for what thou hast given. So long as I have used the things which are thine, I am content. Take them back and place them wherever thou mayest choose, for thine were all things, thou gavest them to me. Is it not enough to depart in this state of mind? And what life is better and more becoming than that of a man who is in this state of mind? And what end is more happy? But that this may be done, that such a declaration may be made, a man must receive, bear, no small things, nor are the things small which he must lose, go without. You cannot both wish to be a consul and to have these things, the power of making such a dying speech, and to be eager to have lands, and these things also, and to be solicitous about slaves, and about yourself. But if you wish for anything which belongs to another, that which is your own is lost. This is the nature of the thing, nothing is given or had for nothing. And where is the wonder? If you wish to be a consul, you must keep awake, run about, kiss hands, waste yourself with exhaustion at other men's doors, say and do many things unworthy of a free man, send gifts to many, daily presents to some. And what is the thing that is got? 12 bundles of rods, the consular fasces, to sit 3 or 4 times on the tribunal, to exhibit the games in the circus and to give suppers in small baskets. Or, if you do not agree about this, let someone show me what there is besides these things. In order then to secure freedom from passions, apatheas, tranquility, to sleep well when you do sleep, to be really awake when you are awake, to fear nothing, to be anxious about nothing, will you spend nothing and give no labor? But if anything belonging to you be lost while you are thus busied, or be wasted badly, or another obtains what you ought to have obtained, will you immediately be vexed at what has happened? Will you not take into the account on the other side what you receive and for what, how much for how much? Do you expect to have for nothing things so great? And how can you? One work, thing, has no community with another. You cannot have both external things after bestowing care on them and your own ruling faculty, but if you would have those, give up this. If you do not, you will have neither this nor that, while you are drawn in different ways to both. The oil will be spilled, the household vessels will perish, that may be, but I shall be free from passions, tranquil. There will be a fire when I am not present, and the books will be destroyed, but I shall treat appearances according to nature well, but I shall have nothing to eat. If I am so unlucky, death is a harbor, and death is the harbor for all. This is the place of refuge, and for this reason not one of the things in life is difficult. As soon as you choose, you are out of the house, and are smoked no more. Why then are you anxious? Why do you lose your sleep? Why do you not straightway, after considering wherein your good is and your evil, say, both of them are in my power? Neither can any man deprive me of the good, nor involve me in the bad against my will. Why do I not throw myself down and snore? For all that I have is safe. As to the things which belong to others, he will look to them who gets them, as they may be given by him who has the power. Who am I who wish to have them in this way or in that? Is a power of selecting them given to me? Has any person made me the dispenser of them? Those things are enough for me over which I have power, I ought to manage them as well as I can, and all the rest, as the master of them, God, may choose. When a man has these things before his eyes, does he keep awake and turn hither and thither? What would he have, or what does he regret, Patroclus or Antilochus or Menelaus? For when did he suppose that any of his friends was immortal, and when had he not before his eyes that on the morrow or the day after he or his friend must die? Yes, he says, but I thought that he would survive me and bring up my son. You were a fool for that reason, and you were thinking of what was uncertain. Why then do you not blame yourself, and sit crying like girls? But he used to set my food before me. Because he was alive, you fool, but now he cannot, but Automedon will set it before you, and if Automedon also dies, you will find another. But if the pot in which your meat was cooked should be broken, must you die of hunger, because you have not the pot which you are accustomed to? Do you not send and buy a new pot? He says, no greater ill than this could fall on me. Iliad 19:321. Why is this your ill? Do you then instead of removing it blame your mother, Thetis, for not foretelling it to you that you might continue grieving from that time? What do you think? Do you not suppose that Homer wrote this that we may learn that those of noblest birth, the strongest and the richest, the most handsome, when they have not the opinions which they ought to have, are not prevented from being most wretched and unfortunate? Book 4. Chapter 11. About purity, cleanliness. Some persons raise a question whether the social feeling is contained in the nature of man, and yet I think that these same persons would have no doubt that love of purity is certainly contained in it, and that if man is distinguished from other animals by anything, he is distinguished by this. When then we see any other animal cleaning itself, we are accustomed to speak of the act with surprise, and to add that the animal is acting like a man, and on the other hand, if a man blames an animal for being dirty, straightway as if we were making an excuse for it, we say that of course the animal is not a human creature. So we suppose that there is something superior in man, and that we first receive it from the gods. For since the gods by their nature are pure and free from corruption, so far as men approach them by reason, so far do they cling to purity and to a love, habit, of purity. But since it is impossible that man's nature, ousia, can be altogether pure, being mixed, composed, of such materials, reason is applied, as far as it is possible, and reason endeavors to make human nature love purity. The first then and highest purity is that which is in the soul, and we say the same of impurity. Now you could not discover the impurity of the soul as you could discover that of the body, but as to the soul, what else could you find in it than that which makes it filthy in respect to the acts which are her own? Now the acts of the soul are movement towards an object or movement from it, desire, aversion, preparation, design, purpose, assent. What then is it which in these acts makes the soul filthy and impure? Nothing else than her own bad judgments, kramata. Consequently, the impurity of the soul is the soul's bad opinions, and the purification of the soul is the planting in it of proper opinions, and the soul is pure which has proper opinions, for the soul alone in her own acts is free from perturbation and pollution. Now we ought to work at something like this in the body also, as far as we can. It was impossible for the deflections of the nose not to run when man has such a mixture in his body. For this reason nature has made hands and the nostrils themselves as channels for carrying off the humors. If then a man sucks up the deflections, I say that he is not doing the act of a man. It was impossible for a man's feet not to be made muddy and not be soiled at all when he passes through dirty places. For this reason nature, God, has made water and hands. It was impossible that some impurity should not remain in the teeth from eating. For this reason, she says, wash the teeth. Why? In order that you may be a man and not a wild beast or a hog. It was impossible that from the sweat and the pressing of the clothes there should not remain some impurity about the body which requires to be cleaned away. For this reason water, oil, hands, towels, scrapers, strigils, niter, sometimes all other kinds of means are necessary for cleaning the body. You do not act so, but the smith will take off the rust from the iron instruments, and he will have tools prepared for this purpose. And you yourself wash the platter when you are going to eat, if you are not completely impure and dirty, but will you not wash the body nor make it clean? Why, he replies, I will tell you again, in the first place, that you may do the acts of a man, then, that you may not be disagreeable to those with whom you associate. You do something of this kind even in this matter, and you do not perceive it, you think that you deserve to stink. Let it be so, deserve to stink. Do you think that also those who sit by you, those who recline at table with you, that those who kiss you deserve the same? Either go into a desert, where you deserve to go, or live by yourself, and smell yourself. For it is just that you alone should enjoy your own impurity. But when you are in a city, to behave so inconsiderately and foolishly, to what character do you think that it belongs? If nature had entrusted to you a horse, would you have overlooked and neglected him? And now think that you have been entrusted with your own body as with a horse, wash it, wipe it, take care that no man turns away from it, that no one gets out of the way for it. But who does not get out of the way of a dirty man, of a stinking man, of a man whose skin is foul, more than he does out of the way of a man who is daubed with muck? That smell is from without, it is put upon him, but the other smell is from want of care, from within, and in a manner from a body in putrefaction. But Socrates washed himself seldom. Yes, but his body was clean and fair, and it was so agreeable and sweet that the most beautiful and the most noble loved him, and desired to sit by him rather than by the side of those who had the handsomest forms. It was in his power neither to use the bath nor to wash himself if he chose, and yet the rare use of water had an effect. If you do not choose to wash with warm water, wash with cold. But Aristophanes says, those who are pale, unshod, 'tis those I mean. The Clouds, line 102. For Aristophanes says of Socrates that he also walked the air and stole clothes from the palestra. But all who have written about Socrates bear exactly the contrary evidence in his favor. They say that he was pleasant not only to hear, but also to see. On the other hand, they write the same about Diogenes. For we ought not even by the appearance of the body to deter the multitude from philosophy, but as in other things, a philosopher should show himself cheerful and tranquil, so also he should in the things that relate to the body. See, ye men, that I have nothing, that I want nothing. See how I am without a house, and without a city, and an exile, if it happens to be so, and without a hearth I live more free from trouble and more happily than all of noble birth and than the rich. But look at my poor body also and observe that it is not injured by my hard way of living. But if a man says this to me, who has the appearance, dress, and face of a condemned man, what god shall persuade me to approach philosophy if it makes men such persons? Far from it, I would not choose to do so, even if I were going to become a wise man. I indeed would rather that a young man, who is making his first movements towards philosophy, should come to me with his hair carefully trimmed than with it dirty and rough, for there is seen in him a certain notion, appearance, of beauty and a desire of attempt at that which is becoming, and where he supposes it to be, there also he strives that it shall be. It is only necessary to show him what it is, and to say, young man, you seek beauty, and you do well, you must know then that it grows, is produced, in that part of you where you have the rational faculty. Seek it there where you have the movements towards and the movements from things, where you have the desires towards, and the aversion from things, for this is what you have in yourself of a superior kind. But the poor body is naturally only earth, why do you labor about it to no purpose? If you shall learn nothing else, you will learn from time that the body is nothing. But if a man comes to me daubed with filth, dirty, with a mustache down to his knees, what can I say to him? By what kind of resemblance can I lead him on? For about what has he busied himself, which resembles beauty, that I may be able to change him and say, beauty is not in this, but in that? Would you have me to tell him that beauty consists not in being daubed with muck, but that it lies in the rational part? Has he any desire of beauty? Has he any form of it in his mind? Go and talk to a hog, and tell him not to roll in the mud. For this reason the words of Xenocrates touched Pullman also, since he was a lover of beauty, for he entered the room, having in him certain incitements, anosmata, to love of beauty, but he looked for it in the wrong place. For nature has not made even the animals dirty which live with man. Does a horse ever wallow in the mud, or a well-bred dog? But the hog, and the dirty geese, and worms and spiders do, which are banished furthest from human intercourse. Do you then, being a man, choose to be not as one of the animals which live with man, but rather a worm, or a spider? Will you not wash yourself somewhere sometime in such manner as you choose? Will you not wash off the dirt from your body? Will you not come clean that those with whom you keep company may have pleasure in being with you? But do you go with us even into the temples in such a state, where it is not permitted to spit or blow the nose, being a heap of spittle and of snot? What then? Does any man, that is, do I, require you to ornament yourself? Far from it, except to ornament that which we really are by nature, the rational faculty, the opinions, the actions, but as to the body only so far as purity, only so far as not to give offense. But if you are told that you ought not to wear garments dyed with purple, go and daub your cloak with muck or tear it. But how shall I have a neat cloak? Man, you have water, wash it. Here is a youth worthy of being loved, here is an old man worthy of loving and being loved in return. A fit person for a man to entrust to him a son's instruction, to whom daughters and young men shall come, if opportunity shall so happen, that the teacher shall deliver his lessons to them on a dunghill. Let this not be so. Every deviation comes from something which is in man's nature, but this deviation is near being something not in man's nature,